Hello everyone, and welcome to this short demonstration on how to forward a network port from a HDP Sandbox VM to the host machine. Now, the reason for this demonstration is because of a lot of questions that I've had from a lot of students of my Udemy course. Most of the lab and exercises involved using HDP Sandbox, and we had to forward the Apache Kylin default port 7070 and made use of the web console on the host machine. Now it turns out that from HDP Sandbox 2.6.4 there had been some architectural change, so those who used the instructions that was demonstrated in the course will not work from HDP Sandbox version 2.6.5. So for those who have asked the questions over time now, I have referred to a GitHub issue page, and that is what you see on your screen. It contains all the instructions, and these will work for HDP Sandbox 2.6.5 and above. However, I am still getting some of this requests to do this demonstration, and I think it is so much overdue. So what will happen right now is that I want to follow the steps listed right here, and this would really help. And I'm going to do the demonstration. And for this purpose, I'm not installing Kylin. I will instead just set up an Apache Tomcat server to run on port 7070 on a freshly imported HDP Sandbox 3.0.1. So let's begin. The first thing to note is that because I do not want to restart the VM for this lecture, so let me add it right now. This is going to be my Tomcat, and I am doing this on, this is .0.0.1 and port 7070. Then the guest port is 7070, the host port is also 7070. So with this instruction, I wouldn't have to restart once I finish the configuration. Once that is done, I am going to start the VM. But while the VM is started, let us just confirm that nothing is running currently on that port. So if I try go localhost 7070, you would see there is no resource available on that URL. And that is why at the end of this demonstration, we will have set up the Tomcat server on this port, and this particular URL will be functional. And so because this is the first time that I am starting up the VM, it's going to take a while to extract and load the Hortonworks Sandbox. I am going to pause this video and I'll resume when it is fully started. So the VM is fully started, and now I want to refer you to the instructions that I said we're going to follow. If you read this, we are first of all going to log into our VM using SSH, and we're going to add and configure the port, after which we are going to execute this script, the script we are going to edit, and it will generate a new script for us with which will also run. Having done that, we are then going to execute the proxy deploy script and add the port forwarding to the VirtualBox. But we have done this part already, and that is what we did because we don't want to restart the sandbox after the configuration. So let's get started. To log into the VM container itself, we are going to use localhost as the host name, and the port is going to be 2122. Right? The username is root. The password is Hadoop. We see we are connected to the Sandbox host. So this is using an SSH client to connect to the Sandbox container itself. So I'm going to use another SSH client that will allow me to maximize the font for clarity and visibility. So now we're connected. We are going to go into this directory, and from here we will use a text editor to open the generate proxy deploy script file. So if we look through this file, we're going to see a list of port mappings, and we are supposed to add our own port entries to this list. Once that is done, you want to save this and execute this script that we just edited. Now if I edit, some will get this error saying sandbox flavor, no such file or directory. It turns out that if you look at the script, it is trying to find a particular file, sandbox flavor, in the current working directory. However, we have this file in the root directory. So what I'm going to do, the fastest way, is to create a soft link to that file in this existing directory, and this will be sandbox flavor. Then I will execute the script again. Now what this script will do, including many things, will be to generate a proxy deploy script, and we will find that in the folder sandbox. Right, we'll find that in sandbox proxy. So this is the file that was just generated, and we are supposed to execute this for a reverse proxy to the port we just did. So what we will do is say sandbox proxy and proxy deploy script. Right, if you execute this, you will get a permission denied, or at least I'm getting that right now. And I think the reason for this is because this file is not executable. So what I'll do is use Sky mode to make it executable by the owner, right? And that is it. Now, having done that, we execute once again, and what this would literally do is recreate the port mappings for the Docker container that our sandbox VM actually wraps around, right? So this is the container ID for the internal Docker container. So why this is happening, we also want to remember that from our host machine, we tried accessing this port via HTTP, and we see that we don't receive any data because there is no service running on that port right now. So having done this, we are going to log into the Docker container itself using localhost, SSH localhost, but port 2222, which is the default HDP port number for clients. Remember, we logged into the wrapper VM with 2122. So I have logged into the VM itself, and one very obvious difference is that the machine name or the host name for this is Sandbox HDP, whereas for the VM it is Sandbox Host. So that's a clear difference. Now, having done this, what I want to do right here now is download the Tomcat binary, get it started on port 7070, and let's see if our exercise so far has been fruitful. Okay, so from the download page of Apache Tomcat, I am just going to copy this link and download it in my VM. That has been downloaded. I'm going to untie it, right? And I'm going to use a text editor to change the port number for Tomcat to run on. That will be Apache conf. So we are going to scroll down to where it is required for the port number. I'm just going to change every port number to something that should be unique. all the entries have been changed. I want to save this file and use Apache Tomcat bean and the startup bean a shell file to start up the server. So how do we know that it is working internally? Before we go and confirm that our server is started from the host machine, let's check right here that it is actually started. HTTP localhost port 7070. Good. So using the call command, we confirm that there is resource at that particular address. Now we're going to go into the web browser, and all things equal, we should be able to load the application from the host machine. So before I wrap up this recording, I want to use this moment to also introduce my latest course on Udemy. It is tagged SQL, NoSQL, Big Data, and Hadoop. And this course covers the journey of data engineering and database development on at least 8 different database platforms, including the popular NoSQL databases we have today. It is a very hands-on course, and on completing it, you should have had a good hands-on experience with databases like MySQL, Elasticsearch, Neo4j, InfluxDB, Redis, Kafka, HBase, and Big Data on Hadoop. You really want to check this course out. The link to the course is in the description for this video. Finally, I want to inform you that in the first quarter of 2020, I will be rolling out an update to the Kylin course, which in my opinion is long overdue. So until then, have a great time and happy learning.